Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and share. Hi, Assalamualaikum. So now let's continue with subtopic 2.2, cell membrane and organelles. Okay, so first we start with plasma membrane. Okay, for plasma membrane, the model is described by fluid mosaic model. So fluid mosaic model, this is proposed by scientists G. Singer and G. Nicholson. Hopefully boleh ingatlah nama ni, G. Singer and G. Nicholson. They proposed that the plasma membrane described as fluid mosaic model. So why we call the plasma membrane as fluid mosaic model? So ada dua perkataan kat situ. The first is fluid, second is mosaic. The fluid, the reason is because the plasma membrane, okay, it refers to the phospholipid and some protein in plasma membrane is able to move. So as you can see here, this is the structure of plasma membrane. We have the phospholipid and we have the protein. So from the observation, the phospholipid and the protein is movable. Okay, so that's why they call the fluid. Okay, and then the plasma membrane also called as mosaic because from the pandangan atas, okay, you can see that this is a mosaic pattern. Adanya phospholipid head, okay, and then the protein. So it refers to the protein that embedded in the membrane. So it will give the mosaic structure. So hopefully you can remember why plasma membrane is called as fluid mosaic model because it known as fluid, it's referred to the phospholipid and some protein which are able to move, and called as mosaic because it refers to the protein that are embedded in the membrane. Okay, so here is the component and structure of plasma membrane. Okay, it has four components. The phospholipid bilayer. So if only one layer, we call this phospholipid. But here the first layer and here is the second layer. So this we call as phospholipid bilayer. The function is to impede direct passage of ion and polar molecule. So the small polar molecule and ion can directly across the plasma membrane. Okay, and then it actually act as a macam guard, okay, untuk filter siapa yang boleh across dan siapa yang tak boleh across the cell. Okay, and then we have the membrane protein. So the membrane protein, as you can see here, we have two types. This is called as integral protein, okay, cross dari hujung ke hujung, okay, and then this is peripheral protein, okay. So dia hanya embedded sahaja, dia tak cross the whole structure of phospholipid bilayer tu. Then the major function of the membrane protein, okay, ada 6 kesemuanya, later on kita akan discuss. And then we have here the plasma membrane also have the cholesterol, okay, in between of the phospholipid structure. So this cholesterol, the function is to stabilize the membrane structure by provide flexibility to the membrane. Okay, and then we have carbohydrate. So the carbohydrate is here. Okay, the carbohydrate will attach to the protein or to the lipid. If the carbohydrate attached to the protein, we call it as glycoprotein. But then if the carbohydrate attached to the lipid, we call it as glycolipid. So the function is as cell identify markers. Next is the function of plasma protein. So as you can see here, membrane protein has various functions. So here is the 6. First, it will involve in transport, okay, in cell. So as you can see here, this is the structure of the channel protein, and this is structure for carrier protein. So transport in and out, okay, from the cell involve the plasma membrane protein. And then here the membrane protein also involved in enzymatic activity because, as you know, enzyme is a protein. Okay, so some of the protein in the membrane will act as an enzyme. And then other than that, the protein membrane also involved in signal transduction. Okay, this one example is activation of hormone. Okay, non-steroid one, they may use G protein, protein kinase. So the protein G protein is example of the membrane protein that involved in signal transduction. And then we have cell-cell recognition, as I have mentioned. Okay, for the plasma membrane, it must have carbohydrate. Then the carbohydrate will attach to the protein or to the phospholipid. If the carbohydrate attached to the protein, it's known as glycoprotein. So the glycoprotein here will act as cell marker. So involved in cell recognition. It will become a tagging for the cell. So for example, sel kita, okay, setiap sel kita dia ada dia punya identification marker. So kalau kata ada sel luar masuk, okay, contohnya katakan bacteria cell yang masuk, so our body will recognize that is a foreign cell. Why? Because they will present different marker from our cell. And then the intercellular joining. So here we know that our cell is close to each other. So to join the cell, okay, this is between the structure of the membrane protein. And then the last one is attachment to the site. Right, hi, let's continue with organelle, structure and function. Okay, still in subtopic 2.2. Right, we start with nucleus. So this is the structure of nucleus that yang kamu kena tahu. Dekat sekolah kamu dah familiar dengan organelle ni semua, tapi maybe kita akan lebih detail di peringkat metrik ni dengan dia punya structure lah. So for nucleus, you can see that the nucleus, the outer layer is called as nuclear envelope, and then this area like cytoplasm, we call it as nucleoplasm, and at the center, this is the nucleolus. Okay. And then, as you know, the function of nucleus is to control the cellular activity and the cell division. Then endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, this is the structure. For smooth endoplasmic reticulum, there is no spotted. Okay, you can see no red spotted. But for rough endoplasmic reticulum with the red spotted, so the red spotted is actually the ribosome. So So smooth endoplasmic reticulum means they do not have ribosome, but for rough endoplasmic reticulum, they have the ribosome that attach pada structure dia. Okay, so for function, rough endoplasmic reticulum, since dia ada ribosome, the function is to pack and transport protein synthesized by ribosome attached to the endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, the function is to pack and transport protein synthesis by the ribosome. And then for smooth endoplasmic reticulum, the function is serve as a site for lipid synthesis and also involved in carbohydrate metabolism. Then for Golgi body, so this is the structure. Don't confuse the Golgi body structure and the endoplasmic reticulum, because for endoplasmic reticulum, it will attach with the nucleus structure. But for Golgi body, the structure is separated from the nucleus. But then for Golgi body, what you should know is the cis phase, okay, and the trans phase, okay, and here is the cystine. Okay, cis phase, you can see here is the site that dekat close dengan nucleus, and then trans phase adalah untuk keluar, okay, arah keluar. So apa yang dia buat, this Golgi body, the function is to modify protein and lipid from endoplasmic reticulum, sort and packet them in vesicle. So the product from the endoplasmic reticulum, which is the protein and also the lipid, will be transported to the Golgi body, so that the Golgi body will package them into vesicle. Next, we have mitochondria. So this mitochondria is a double membrane organelle and also called as autonomous organelle. Why autonomous? Because it has its own DNA. So this mitochondria, since they have double membrane organelle, it has outer membrane, inner membrane, and then the region between outer membrane and inner membrane is intermembrane space. And then the fluid inside the mitochondria we call as a matrix. And then this inner membrane, it will form a folded structure, but this time we will not call it as cystine, we call it as cristae. So hopefully you can remember the detailed structure of mitochondria, because the structure frequently been asked in PSPM. Okay, and then the function of mitochondria, it is a site for cellular respiration. Right, next is the ribosome. Okay, so ribosome, as you learn in chapter 6 in translation, so ribosome have two subunit, larger subunit and smaller subunit, and this ribosome, the function is to carry out protein synthesis. So this ribosome involved in translation, which produce protein. And then the structure of chloroplast that only presents in plant cell. The detailed structure, as you can see here, chloroplast also a double membrane organelle. It has outer membrane, inner membrane, and the region between outer and inner membrane is also called as intermembrane space. And here, okay, semacam apa, a coin or a shilling shape, a shilling structure. This we call as thylakoid. And then a bundle of thylakoid we call as a grana. Then the grana is connected by lamella. And then the fluid, okay, in the chloroplast we not call matrix, okay, specifically we call it as stroma, okay, stroma. And this chloroplast, the function is site for photosynthesis, so that's why it only presents in plant cell. And then the lysosome. Okay, for lysosome, only found in animal cell. So you can see here, lysosome may have hydrolytic enzyme. So the function is to digest macromolecule ingested by the cell. So means involved in cell digestion. Okay, and then involved in autophagy. Okay, so autophagy means destroy one organelle. So let's say in the cell, mitochondria dah tak berfungsi dengan baik. Okay, so the mitochondria will be destroyed by the lysosome, and this lysosome also involved in autolysis or apoptosis. So if the cell, for example red blood cell, the lifetime is 120 days. So selepas dalam jangka hayat dia tu 120 hari untuk kita musnahkan sel. So the pemusnahan sel tu akan dilakukan oleh lysosome. Okay, next is the centriole. So this centriole also can be found in animal cell, not in plant cell. So this centriole, as you can see here, it has a microtubule which can, okay, and then this centriole will organize microtubule of the spindle fiber. So mean it may involve in cell division, okay, in spindle fiber formation. So yeah, that's all for the organelle that you should know, detailed structure and of course their function.